Welcome, everybody. We are back again for another how-to webinar session. Great to have you with us. We are letting everybody pour into the room. This is going to be a fun next hour or so. We'll open it up for Q&A and do some great demonstrations of how to run a live remote coaching session using Onform. I am happy and pleased to introduce Lexi Keller, who is our sports development rep, one of on our sales team. Lexi, great to have you here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to show you guys some cool tools that we have. And yeah, I work with all of our coaches across different sports. So I'm your girl when it comes to sports other than golf, but I have some golf knowledge as well. So
Yeah, it's going to be great. So Lexi is going to take on the role of remote golf coach for us today. I'm in Colorado. Lexi's in North Carolina. So this is what we're going to do today is actually probably the fanciest production we've ever pulled off. But we want to show everybody what it's like to actually conduct a live remote session. We're going to go through how to set it up, when it's useful, how it works. And by the end of the series, or by the end of the session today, you should have a good idea of how you can easily pull these things off for your own usage. So while we have everybody still piling in, but let's go ahead and get started. Let's go to the next slide. So for the intro, for the agenda today, we're going to talk a few things before we actually do the demo. One of them is, what are the best uses for live lessons? When's it appropriate? How does it work? What does it really mean? We'll talk about the different types of lessons that you can give, not only just using Onform, but using Zoom, etc. And then we'll go right into the live lesson demo and spend a good chunk of our time there showing you how this can be done, whether your student, your athlete is at a driving range outdoors, whether they're indoors in, say, a gym or a studio. And we're going to be demonstrating golf today, but it will work with multiple different sports. And it's going to be a really cool solution. We think you're gonna love it, and it should be pretty educational. So let's talk about the best uses for a live lesson. Go ahead and hit the next screen there, Lexi. So we work with coaches that are giving thousands of lessons, every day. What's great about a live remote lesson? Well, it's remote. It expands your coaching reach, right? It lets you reach your clients in more places. The ability to do that is super cool. It's made possible by technology. It's made possible by Wi-Fi, by 5G. Cell connection is sufficient. The downside or slight con to a remote is the reality is you're still getting paid for your time. A 45-minute lesson on the lesson tee or 45 minutes sitting at your computer is still you getting paid for 45 minutes. When we do a voiceover or have clients send in videos remotely and you can process and look at them and provide voiceover analysis in just a few minutes and send it back, you can certainly scale your time better to handle 10 clients in the course of 45 minutes versus just one. But that being said, there's some amazingly good use cases for doing live remote lessons. For example, you might have worked with a client that's moved and you've developed a relationship with them. They now had to, maybe for work or whatever reason, moved across the country. You can still maintain that relationship with them and give them great lessons through using a live remote lesson. Another super use case, you might have a athlete right before a meet or before a tournament, and they're freaking out. Maybe they've shanked 3 balls at the driving range, and they call you up, and they need some help. You can do a quick check-in prior to that tournament, or really just any time. Short, quick. Let's just touch base. Just take a look at what you're doing, and check in with them. There's also the fact that last I checked, roads aren't getting less busy. Traffic isn't going down very much. So, I've certainly worked with people that just don't want to bother driving across town because it might take them an hour. You might have a facility in downtown New York, somebody that doesn't want to travel into the city. boom, you can connect with them remotely and save them the travel time. And speaking of traveling, certainly another great case is your client might be traveling. They might have for work be gone for 2 weeks and they don't want to miss out on working with you for whatever their sport is. So that's another great use case. You can do an actual live remote session. And a quick tip here, when you're dealing with that sort of situation, always make sure you try and schedule it as a calendar event. Now, they're granted, if they call you up and they're in a panic before a tournament, you're just going to handle it right then and there if you can. But use the calendar invite on Microsoft Outlook calendar or Google Calendar to set a time, because it will eliminate mishaps with time zones. We've probably all been a part of dozens of meetings and gotten goofed up between time zones. So setting the calendar is a great way to make sure that they actually show up for the lesson at the same time you show up. Now, let's talk about the types of live lessons. So what exactly are we talking about? Well, the reality is live lessons have been around for a long time. I mean, we are doing one right now. You can use Zoom. You can use FaceTime. We hear about that all the time, where person sets up their camera, their iPhone on a tripod, starts FaceTime. You put your AirPods in and you can simply talk back and forth to your coach while they watch you swing. We have a relatively well-known cricket coach, T.A. Saker, who has been doing this for years using Onform. His clients, he teaches all over the world in cricket, and he Zooms with them. He literally records the screen of Zoom while they're doing their athletic, maneuver, bowling or throwing or hitting, records the screen, and then imports that screen recording into Onform and marks it up for feedback back to the client. So there are some really simple, straightforward ways that you could already do lessons just using Zoom or FaceTime. And Zoom, by the way, for the first 40 minutes is free. You don't need to pay another subscription for Zoom, and FaceTime's built into iOS. But if you have people on Android, you're going to want to use Zoom since it's goes across both platforms. There's also asynchronous video capture and a phone call. This is what people are doing on Onform every single day, maybe without the phone call, but that is, you have a client at a tournament, maybe they need some help, you have them record their video, share it via Onform, they get it, you get it 5 seconds later as the coach, and you can get on the phone and talk them through certain improvements or changes to their swing that they might need. So the asynchronous part just means I'm not actually on a video call with my coach, but I could be on a phone call and exchanging information straight over the app back and forth with technique improvements, etc. The third kind of live lesson is a combination of two devices, one using Zoom and one using Onform. And this is what we're going to demo here in just a few minutes. In that scenario, what we're going to do today is we're going to use Zoom on my iPad, and Lexi will share her screen of Onform to me on the iPad. I'm going to use my iPhone as the capture device. So I'm going to set up Onform using our auto detect mode. And what this is going to give us is Lexi will have immediate access to our high definition, high FPS video that I've adjusted for shutter speed, etc. So not only do I get the live interaction with Lexi, seeing her draw lines on my swing that I just took 5 seconds prior, Lexi has the benefit of, seeing me through the Zoom, as well as getting access to my actual high definition, high speed, high FPS recordings that she can use slow-mo with and do lines, et cetera, et cetera. So what you'll need for that, you're going to see our setup here in just a second. You'll need Zoom. Like I said, it's free up to 40 minutes. You could also use FaceTime if you're using iOS between you and your coach. You'll need Onform coach subscription, and your client will need the free Onform athlete subscription, which they all get as being a client of a paid coach. And then optionally, your student might want AirPods. Those are very handy. Maybe you're actually doing a live lesson at a driving range, no problem. And in the case of people that have like a simulator or a studio at home, which there's so many more people building certainly in golf, studios at home, you can have your iPad mirrored to a TV in a studio and literally have, your coach and the drawings, et cetera, that they're doing on your 50-inch TV on the wall. We're going to kind of talk through all that, show you the setup. And before I do that, let's talk about one more thing, which is, okay, so in the live demo, there's a couple of really key things here. On the student side, using Onform, what they're going to want to do, and we're going to demonstrate golf, but you can set up your camera to automatically share to your coach. Now, there's two ways to do that. Either your coach has set up the default shared library, which is a setting inside any library. That means that no matter who records the video, whether it's the student or the coach, the video is automatically available to everybody in that workspace. So that's the default shared library. In golf in particular, though, it's very common or more common to have a default private mode, meaning I, as the golf coach, might take 10 videos of my athlete during a lesson, but I only share 1 or 2 videos with them. I don't want to share every single video every single time. In that case, you'll want to start the camera or have your athlete, your student, start the camera from the chat screen. When you do that, and that's the arrow that you can see pointing to, let me make sure the screen is visible there. The arrow pointing to that little icon in the chat, when you launch the camera from chat, it will automatically share every video directly to the coach. And that's a good little tip, not just in live lessons, but in other scenarios. It's kind of like when you're chatting, when you're texting with somebody, you might import a video from your camera roll, but if you're in the chat and you take a photo, it automatically goes right into the text with whoever you're texting with. All right, and as I said, coach needs iPad running Zoom. This can also be done on the coach's side, straight from a Mac, running our app directly on their Mac laptop with Onform, of course. And in the student's workspace, yeah, set to default shared or start the camera from chat. Lexi, I've been talking for a solid 10 minutes here. Anything else before we get to the exciting part that I've maybe missed here?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I mean, I've talked with tons of different coaches across different sports, and they're always wondering how, like, I'll show them Onform on my iPad, do a demonstration, show them all the tools, and they're asking me, how are you showing me your Onform app on Zoom right now? So this is even just a huge part of being able to meet back up with your clients or athletes, and you can meet up after a session. Obviously, we're talking about the live situation, but if you have kind of a library of your videos from your athlete, you can always do maybe weekly check-ins with them and go through their videos from the week, exactly how we're about to do now. So kind of excited to show you guys all how to do this. I think it can be super helpful across many different use cases. So.
Great. Well, let's get going. So I'm actually going to move from my desk and walk over into our hitting studio here. And we're going to do this live, as they say. So I'm just going to walk over to the hitting area. You'll see, thanks to our fancy production, here we are. You can now see I'm in our hitting bay. So Lexi is now going to share her Onform app through Zoom to me here on my iPad. And what's cool here is in the situation where I might be at a driving range, I'm just going to put the iPad on the ground and point it up so that I can actually see Lexi and talking to me automatically. But in the setup here, what you're going to see is right here in the way here, we have an iRange stand, a great product from our good friend. This could also be a tripod, but what I'm going to do is set up my iPhone and place my iPhone on the tripod or on the iRange, and I'm going to use the auto detect mode. So I'm in auto detect, and I'm going to place that right here on the iRange, and I'll just tap there to make sure it's focused and use our leveler to make sure we get a good level video. So that's step one. Now I could just put the iPad down here at my feet and point it up to me. And so while I'm actually hitting, I would actually be seeing Lexi right on the screen. In this situation, you could also have a tripod right in front of you. I happen to have a little shelf, and I also have a large TV here in the studio, so I could certainly be screen sharing my screen to the TV. Again, just to try and keep it as simple and show that you don't need all that fancy stuff. You just need the iPad and your phone. We're just going to keep it right on the iPad, and I'm just going to put it on the shelf in front of me. So let me grab my club here. We're going to switch the main view of the presentation that you're looking at from the back camera so you can see the setup. And again, I could be at a range, I could be at a baseball facility, in a cage, etc. I could also have the recording from Face On or wherever. But now Lexi is going to share her screen, and you can now see this is the Lexi's Onform app. And I'm looking at that directly in front of me here on the shelf, or again, could be on a tripod, could be on the ground. But from here, the great thing is that Lexi can take over as the coach. I am the student. So Lexi, let's go ahead and why don't you take over as the coach?
Yeah, so this is my view as a coach. I'm in a shared library between Gear and I. You can see we have it on default shared right now. So those are some preliminary things. Just make sure you're in your student's library. And I'm gonna have Gear take his first swing here. You'll see it'll appear in my library in a few moments. So Gear, just go ahead and take a swing as you normally would, and let's kind of see what it looks like. I know something we've been working on with Gear and I is that he swings a little bit over the top. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that. I just saw the live view on Zoom of him taking his swing, and now I can pull it up in Onform and actually slow that video down. So we can watch it first in slow-mo here. Let me just get that 2-panel view for everyone. There we go. So we're going to watch that swing play back. And something we're looking for here, you can mark things up with your tool menu here. So I'm just drawing a line right there, and then maybe let's pause at the top. So this is kind of what I'm looking for. You guys can mark up these videos as you're doing this. So you see I have the drop down menu, and then the 3D image just populated on the left. So Gear, we were talking about how you swing over the top sometimes. I'm going to turn on our hand path tracking tool, and that's going to show us that true hand path so we can kind of look at it a little deeper. Let's check this out. Okay. Oh, just drew a little circle there. So you can actually kind of look up here, Gear, that was a little over the top as we we're talking about. So I'm going to have you maybe take one more swing, and then we can go back and compare these two images. So go ahead, Gear, you can take another swing.
And of course, as Lexi's explaining all this, I'm watching her do it right in front of me on the iPad. And that's the real key here is whether the iPad's at my feet, whether it's on the TV, I'm watching Lexi mark this up of the swing I just took 10 seconds ago. Let me take another swing now that she's given me some instruction.
So if we go back to the library, you can see he just took his next swing. It's just taking a minute to upload, and then it'll appear in my library. And now we can actually compare these two videos. So I'm just going to select the two, and let's kind of see what that looks like. So something you can do with the side-by-side comparison, just kind of a back to basics thing, you can sync up the swing. So I'm going to sync them from when he's up here. You can sync at strike as well. I'm just going to press link, and now we can watch those simultaneously. Something you can also do here. So we're doing this live one-on-one with Gear and I, and he's taking in this feedback. He's looking down at the iPad. But if we want this saved for later, you can do a voiceover, and you can save all these markups. You can save what you're talking about, and it's some take-home material for you and your athlete. So I'm just going to click record and record the screen only just for this use case so it doesn't replay back to us. But there we go. So now I'll just press stop up here. That's going to save in both of our libraries. So now Gear, once I go through that swing with him, he'll have that take-home material in our shared library. So I can go ahead and share that to him, and there we go.
Perfect. Now, just to note, I've been watching Lexi do all those explanations from here while she's been marking up, showing me a different way to move my hands, etc. That's kind of the power. We're getting the high definition. You know, I've adjusted shutter speed to get really good stop motion on my iPhone. That video is uploading in seconds to Lexi. I actually have fairly slow internet where we currently are, so it would be even faster if you're on a normal Wi-Fi connection. But the beauty is, I, as the student, see the markup action as Lexi's directing, and she's simultaneously watching me through just the Zoom video window. So she can make comments maybe on my position, setup, etc. So while it does take a couple devices in this case, of course, I could just use one device and have it on Zoom and she could watch it. This provides really the best of both worlds. Full HD video, all saved for later analysis. And oh, by the way, of course, we could be recording the Zoom itself and have the full recording of the entire lesson available for you and for the student, in addition to the individual voiceovers that you would record during a lesson with the markup and such. So I hope that shows. Lexi, thanks for the tip. I'll try to stop swinging over the top. You have a very difficult challenge in front of you to get me to do that, but we'll see what I can do. From here, I'd love to take some questions. And I'm actually going to walk back to my desk and see if we can answer some questions. But I hope that's been helpful for everybody to see just how to actually do a live lesson. So let's head back over to my desk. And Sarah has been compiling some lessons, some questions from everybody. So I'm going to pop back here. Sarah, let's see, you can go ahead and turn on probably my screen there. Hopefully people can see me. Okay, good. There we go. And let's go. Let's see what kind of questions we have. So
yeah,
if you don't have two, so one question is this doesn't work if my student doesn't have two devices. Well, if you have one device, it's simply just hop on Zoom. Just like TA Saker does, you can record the screen of the swing from Zoom and pull it right into your Onform and mark it up. Super easy. It's very, very simple, actually. And then you can mark that up and share it back to the student via Onform, or simply just like we're doing right now, make comments and discussion using Zoom or FaceTime. Let's see. Let's jump in and ask. Do you have a?
Yeah,
Did you have a? Go ahead.
a question from a running coach. What's the best student setup on the track to get side view as a runner runs and running towards and away from the camera? I understand what you're saying. So to get a multi-view of any movement, you can turn on the dual camera function for Onform. So you just need two devices. You can actually do this with up to 4 devices. I like an iPhone and an iPad. You want them to be on the same network. So that means same Wi-Fi. If you don't have Wi-Fi, you can connect your iPad to your iPhone's hotspot. This is a great way to do it out on the track. And you'll just set up one of the devices maybe on a tripod on the ground from one view, so you could get it from behind the runner, and then you'll stand there and record from that second view. You just need one device on the dual camera mode and one on manual. If you have more questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me and I can show you more in detail.
Yeah, thanks, Lexi. The multicam recording, that means one device is on manual or auto detect and the other device would be on auxiliary. And then we can pair those two together and you can get down the line, face on or side view, rear view, whatever you want for your sport. It's incredibly useful. Let's check another one. Where did that 3D side-by-side view come from? I've never seen it. Let's see, Lexi, can you share your screen again? And we can show people, hopefully, I guess I could share my screen on my side too, but So there's a couple things there. There's a layout button when you open up a video in the lower right corner. See the layout? Tap layout, and then you can hit 2-panel view. Or in a multicam scenario, you can go up to 4 panels. And then over to the left where you see it says 1 and 3D, that's your angle switcher. So here it's computing 3D. If you don't want it to compute 3D, just don't select 3D. But this is how you get the side-by-side with the video simultaneously with the 3D view. This is working for golf right now. We intend to bring 3D to all sports. And stay tuned for a big announcement about 3D that we hope to share in the next week or two, coming soon. So that's how you control the layout, is using the layout button there. Let's check another one. Monthly costs. So Onform is $30 a month for a coach, or $300 a year, and all of your athletes get access to Onform for free. Simple as that. Does this work? Sorry, let me check another one here. Can I use this with PGA Coach? Oh, great question. So we are the preferred video partner of PGA Coach and PGA of America. So with the PGA Coach app, we made it easy to essentially share your student list from PGA Coach into Onform. So from PGA Coach, you would simply tap record after you've added a student. It will automatically create that student's workspace in Onform and automatically launch the camera. And then you can share video back from Onform into PGA Coach if you so desire. But they are 2 separate purchases, although we do provide a discount for PGA members. You can reach out and contact us about that. Let's see. Our app seems to update, but we can't find the 3D feature. How do we access that? Well, it's for golf only right now. So if you haven't signed up as a golfer, you won't have it accessible at this point. But stay tuned for many more sports to come in the very near future. Let's go through a couple more. Lexi, do you have one?
Yeah, another one. So does this work fine with a student sending a video or taking a video off of a recorded video? I would like to utilize the record mode and then send a breakdown audio recording. So yes, the voiceover that I was showing earlier, if you have your athlete send you videos in your shared library, they can easily take a video as well off of another recorded video, but you can mark it up, just press record up here. And when it asks you, do you want to record the screen and the microphone, say yes. So then you can do your voiceover. That will all save as a new video. I hope that answered your question.
Good one. Somebody says, so the student screen shares with a coach while using Onform. In the setup that we did with 2 devices, no. In the 2-device mode, I'm running Zoom on the iPad, and Lexi is screen sharing her Onform from North Carolina to me. My job as the athlete is simply to watch the screen as Lexi draws lines like she's doing now and describing how I can improve my swing. My job as the athlete was simply to set up my iPhone on that tripod so that it captures the full high definition video and auto uploads to her for analysis. Now, in the situation where you might use just a single device, where you're using Zoom, in that case, again, as the coach, if let's say you're both FaceTiming or Zooming, as the coach, I'm looking through at my device, watching Gear take a swing. As the coach, would screen record the swing through Zoom. So the downside of that is it's only going to be 30 FPS. You're probably going to get a bunch of motion blur because they don't have the ability to adjust the camera, but it could provide some very good video, or certainly good enough video for you to provide feedback. And when you screen record that video in a one-to-one scenario, you can pull that in through the import feature in Onform and mark it up for later use as well. What is the name of that tripod? So shout out to iRange Sports. Our friend Gene over there makes this device. It's so handy. It has a really strong magnet in combination with the level feature of Onform. You snap it right onto the magnet, you twist your screen a little bit so that it's perfectly level, and it just couldn't be any easier, and you don't have all those gangly legs. We use iRanges all the time. They also come with both a base for indoor use, and you can put a little spike in them so that when you're out actually playing or on a range in grass, you can just pop it right into the grass with the spike, and it's actually surprisingly strong at how well it holds your camera when you're outside in grass. Um, let's see. How do I get the hand path mode? That is again for golf. And as long as you've done 120 FPS video, you can get that today. So you'd import it, tap on the 3D button, and then once you do the 3D button, you'll see the little magic stars button at the top, like Lexi can show you right now, and that's where the hand path feature is turned on. Look for a lot more visualizations to come in the future as we refine all the 3D capabilities that we have. This is just the beginning of some really cool stuff that's going to happen. Lexi, do you have one you want to cover off? There's a couple more I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, so can you screen share through the app or is it just through Zoom? Through Zoom primarily. So you can't directly screen share through the app. We have seen the ability you can screen share on FaceTime. But if you are the athlete recording yourself, you can't be on FaceTime and record at the same time. So there is that limitation.
Let's see. Will your AI tracking work with animals? Short answer is no. It's trained on humans. It looks to find a human. My daughter's an equestrian. If you go and turn it on, it will try and make the horse feel like a human, but it doesn't work. So there are some other apps I've seen out there that are focusing on the equestrian space, that do some pretty decent skeleton tracking. We've really focused purely on human movement and will continue to focus on human movement in the future. Is it possible to add a team logo to the screen recording capture? Great feature suggestion, something that we have heard before. We'd love to provide. We don't have that at this time, but stay tuned. Speed of camera. So that's an interesting term. Our camera is simply the camera built into the iPhone or iPad. But what we are able to do through Onform is adjust the shutter speed and adjust the frames per second specifically. So in the example I just did there, I was running 120 frames per second, and I had, prior to the call, adjusted the shutter speed so that you would get some really good stop motion of the hands, or as good as the light situation here in my studio provides. Again, if you're outside in bright sun, you won't need to worry about it. But indoors, fluorescent lights or LED lighting, etc., it's always a problem. Use the shutter speed feature right above the record button, or on an iPhone, it's the little running man icon. Use that feature to get really good stop motion through your recording. That has to be done in Onform. You can't import a video and fix it after the fact, if you will. Couple more here. Let's see. Can you talk about 3D motion and how that works and what it measures? Is that included in Onform? Well, I'm glad you asked that. A little hint for everybody coming up. We will be launching our 3D data feature very soon. We have 12 data points that will be measuring rotations, bends, side bends, forward bends, sway. We'll have a lot more to say about that in the coming weeks. We wanted to sort of just touch on that a little bit today, but stay tuned for an announcement about 3D data coming very soon. All right. Any
So
more?
yeah, I saw a few more in there. How do I record my swing from an iPhone using FaceTime call? You can screen record as a coach or as an athlete when you're doing FaceTime and then import that into Onform if you want to do it that way. It won't be necessarily live if you're doing it that way, but you can always screen record and import videos. So that's a workaround. And then, is it possible to add a team logo to the screen recording capture? At the moment, no. We have the ability to customize your workspaces with team logos. So when you go into a workspace, you can customize those with whatever graphics imagery you would like as a coach. Upload those and they will be in your athletes' libraries.
Cool. All right, everybody. There's a ton of questions. I see a ton more coming in. I hope this has been informative on how to do a live remote uh, lesson. If you have any other questions, please reach out, support@onform.com. Uh, I'm Gear, and for Lexi, we appreciate you joining and we appreciate your support along the way. Look for a lot more fun stuff to come, and we always welcome your feedback on how to improve the app and make for a better experience or provide other training and how-tos. So thanks for joining today. We'll see you in the very near future. Cheers.
Thank you guys.